Hey, what's up everybody? In this crash course tutorial for Shadows of Esteren by Studio Agate, I'm going to go over experience points and advancement. Let's get into it.
Cybernation uncensored.
Hey, so as a game leader, you're going to reward experience points at the end of each campaign, and you're going to figure out how many points to reward based on three things. Now, before I get into this, I want to mention that in this section of the book, in these mechanics, right, there are optional rules, just like in most sections of the book and most of the rules for Shadows of Esteren. It's very mechanic light, very crunch light. Very much leans into role play. However, there are optional rules throughout the book in almost every form of mechanic if you want to add more crunch to your gameplay. So just keep that in mind. There are expansions and options in this section. I'm not going to go over those. I'm going to go over the basics of experience points and advancement. But maybe in the future I'll do a video on all the different options that are in these books and stuff. But keep that in mind. You'll see them when you get into the book and all the rules yourself and in those details. And maybe you'll want to use some of those options. But as far as the main concepts of experience points and advancement, the game leader is going to break it down into these three things and then reward accordingly. And you can see here they suggest anywhere between 3 to 15 points rewarded per player at the end of the campaign, depending on how you reward them. So confrontation is basically how they played the character in the sense of fighting, interrogating characters, solving a mystery, basically engaging in the story to make things happen or figure out how things happened, right? It's them, I don't want to say being aggressive, but being at the forefront of the gameplay sometimes, right? Yeah, not all the times. You don't want to monopolize the gameplay and make other players feel like they can't even get a word in or can play at all. However, in this sense, you want to look at the different players and how they're playing their characters in the game and how much they're getting involved with different scenes. Let's put it that way. Like, if a fight happens or the team's interrogating someone or they're searching for clues, are they just sitting back and kind of letting the other players handle all these confrontations, right? Or are they involved in it? And that's basically what they mean by confrontation, and it breaks it down in the sections in the book there and kind of defines that a little more elaborate. But the other main thing to look at is the progression of plot. So whatever the plot is in that campaign, how much were they involved in progressing that, right? Were they, connecting the dots and figuring it out? Were they picking up all the clues along the way and then solving the mystery at the end? How involved was their character in figuring out the end result of the campaign, right? Whatever plot you as a game leader has set up, obviously there's going to be different clues and things that lead them down a certain path to an end result. Was that player playing their character into that result? Were they part of that progression of the plot? Or were they, once again, sitting back and letting everyone else kind of figure things out, still having fun? There's nothing wrong, keep this in mind. There's nothing wrong with a player that wants to play their character a bit more relaxed, a bit more reserved, maybe more quiet. Maybe it's how the player is as well, and it takes them a while to break out of their shell and really get into role playing. Maybe it's the way that they want their character to be. So keep that in mind too. Not everyone needs to be involved with every aspect of every campaign. Maybe the way that they're not involved with certain parts of that are exactly what they should be doing for their character, in which case that comes to this third section, interpretation of the PC, player character. So are they role-playing that character the way that the character should be, based on their ways, on their domains, their disciplines? If you had your session 0, you potentially broke down the history and life path of that character and a little bit about that character's personality and the way that they are in this world of Tree Kazel. So interpretation of the PC is important as well. So again, you have these three sections that you're going to reward experience points, 1 to 5 per section, and that's going to give them their total experience points at the end of the campaign. Now there's multiple ways that they can spend these points. Let's get into that. The first is on basic domains or disciplines. So You'll see here if you want to raise a domain 1.1 point when you're within 1 to 5. Again, if you haven't watched the core mechanics video, check that out, and character creation, to get a better understanding about domains and disciplines and all that sort of stuff. But ultimately, if you want to raise a domain from 1 to 2 or 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5, it's 10 XP per, and it does stack. So keep that in mind. Once you get up past 5 and you start getting into disciplines from 6 to 10, it's going to cost 25 per level. Once you get up from 11 to 15, 40 per level, because you're becoming, godlike and an expert master of that discipline, right? So it's way more expensive. Now, take notice to these points in the parentheses next to how much the XP cost. Instead of 25, it could just be 20. Instead of 40, it could just be 30. And the way to do that is to not just spend the XP that you earned in a campaign to raise up that discipline, but maybe find a mentor, find a teacher or a master that can help you with that particular discipline, in which case it'll cost less XP. Obviously, that has to do with role playing in the campaign. You work that out as a character with your game leader, maybe in the game, but that's how you can reduce the cost of XP to raise those levels. All right, the next thing is defense and speed. Basically, that's going to work similar. It's going to have its XP cost, as you can see here, but it's going to give you just these bonuses. You're basically, if you want to increase your speed or your defense level, say by 2 points or by 3 points, it's going to cost 15 XP or 20 XP. And it's basically that simple. And if you're not familiar with what speed or defense is, again, check out the character creation video or the core mechanics video to learn more about that stuff. Now, if you are a Demorthan and you want to increase your Seagull Ran level, it's going to work just like any other domain or discipline, depending on where you are at with it. So again, you're going to resort back to that main chart and spend your experience points to increase that Seagull Ran. But look at this chart. Every time that you increase your Seagull Ran a level, when between 6 and 9, you get 5 extra Rindas points. From 10 to 13, you get 10 more. If you go up to 14, you get 20 more. 15, you get 30 more. And those do stack. So from 6 to 7, you get 5 more Rindas points. From 7 to 8, you get 5 more. 8 to 9, 5 more. So you see that can really start adding up and making you a much more powerful Demorthan, able to really work those Ogums. So, all right, let's get into Miracles and Exaltation, which works the same way for the people of the temple as it does for Demorthans. As you can see in this chart, same thing. If you're going to increase your miracles, domain, and discipline, you resort to that main chart that I showed you at the beginning, spending experience points to raise that. But again, as you raise up your miracles level, you get more exaltation points to use, basically to have miracles to call upon in prayer and have those miracles happen. It works in the same way. Make sure you check out the Demorthan crash course video and the temple crash course video, where I go over miracles and exaltation as well. But it works the same way. Those basically increase as you increase those domains and discipline levels. Now, the other options here with XP. Fighting arts. I mentioned in the character creation, you can pick up a fighting arts instead of specializing in a particular weapon class or whatever at the beginning of character creation. But later on, with experience points, you can actually buy more fighting arts. And there's a bunch of different fighting arts. They're all in the book. I'll probably do a separate video at the very end. Maybe I'll do that one when I do all the different optional rules video at the very, very end of all these crash course tutorials. But ultimately, you can spend 20 XP to pick up a new fighting art. You can spend 5 XP to restore your survival points. You can never increase the total amount of survival points you're capable of reaching, that max amount that's on your character sheet, but you can restore them. And as I go over, you can use them in special ways that just don't come back in gameplay. You can only restore them by using XP, in which case it costs 5 XP. Now, the other thing here is new Ogums and new Miracles, each of which case costs 5 XP, and they work in the same way. Whether you're of the church or you're a Demorthan, the first time that you maybe come into realization of a new miracle and you learn it, or you find a new Ogamic stone and you're going to learn a new Ogum for the first time, it's going to cost 5 XP in either case. For the first time, it's a one-time cost, and then obviously you can call upon that miracle or that Ogum anytime in the future. But it costs 5 XP in the initial learning process of that Ogum or miracle. So there you have it. That's everything you need to know about experience points and advancement. Like I said, there are some optional rules in the book, so check that out. And also make sure you leave a like on this video, give me a share, leave a comment. Let's give more attention to Shadows of Esteren by Studio Agate, because it is an amazing game, and I would really appreciate that. All right, thanks everybody. Take care.
Cybernation Uncensored.